I am Professor Ramesh Babu, Department of Genetic Engineering, Bharat Institute of Higher Education and Research. This video lecture, I am going to describe about research methodology. The topic is developing a research question. This lecture is suitable for students, faculties, scientists, research scholars in colleges, universities, institutions, and in industries. Nowadays, research is being performed by several scientists and students, and it is a knowledge and which we are trying to acquire through various resources. The first topic of developing a research question is very important, and let's go to the first slide. It is the fountain of knowledge for the sake of knowledge and an important source of finding guidelines for solving different problems. It is a sort of formal training which enables one to understand the new developments in one's field in a better way. The field could be anything chosen by the scientist or a student. And it's a multidisciplinary approach, and various research methods or tools are used for the research. And developing a research question, the first thing is hypothesis testing. How do you choose your hypothesis, and what is the right methodology which is used for doing the research? Okay. And next question, motivation in the research. What makes people to undertake research? It's all on individual interest. The topic is chosen or based on the guide's uh, involvement, and how he is going to guide you is very, very important. That's why a guide is a very resourceful person who's going to help you to carry out research smoothly. And what makes people to undertake research? Desire to get a research degree along with its consequential benefits. So what are the benefits of the research degrees? Okay, you have for higher studies, you have a better exposure and gain knowledge in recent research findings. The second is desire to face the challenge in solving the unsolved problems, that is concern over practical problems initiates research. How do you figure out the unsolved problems? What is the source which is used for figuring out your unsolved problem and designing a hypothesis? So you have to collect a lot of literature to start with your work. Besides having an idea of doing a research in a particular topic, it is necessary to collect the literature. You have to read the journals and the books. What is the feasibility of the timeline available to you? How effectively this can be utilized for completing your research work? They are to be considered very seriously when you're designing your own experiments in a research. The third point is desire to get intellectual joy of doing some creative work. Research is always acquiring a knowledge, and doing a creative work is something is interesting. And because whatever the work you are going to do, you are going to put it in a form of a research publication or a book. Okay. So fourth point is desire to be of service to society. So you have to choose a topic which is of benefit to the society. Whether you are going to do research in economics, or you're going to research in a clinical field, or you're going to do research in aeronauticals, or any other type of field. What is the benefit and what is the outcome of your work? The timeline varies in your research destination. And how effectively you can contribute with your creative idea, which is put it in a paper or publication, so that everybody can understand and follow it up for betterment of the society. So desire to be of a service to the society is another important phenomena in a motivation in research. And desire to get respectability. Whenever you are performing a research and attaining a degree, whether it be a master's or a PhD or postdoctoral research career, it gives a respect to a particular individual. That's what this point is describing about, desire to get respectable. So all these points constitute to take your research into a research career. Okay, next slide. The significance of research can also be understood keeping in view the following 7 points. To those students who are to write master's or PhD thesis, research may mean a careerism or a way to attain a high position in the social structure. To professionals in research methodology, research may mean a source of livelihood. To philosophers and thinkers, research may mean the outlet for new ideas and insights. To literary men and women, research may mean the development of new styles and creative work. To analysts and intellectuals, research may mean the generalization of new theories. Students who are very ambitious to go for higher study will be considered in the next level. And any other scientist who may be interested in a higher study for the postdoctoral research may be suitable. So these are the points which are to be kept in view for the significance of a research. And different authors and scientists or philosophers group the research in a different way. And how it is classified? It is based on the research types. There are several types of research, like a basic research, applied research, clinical research, and so on. And in certain literature or books, they have described how the research is classified. It can be classified in many different ways on the basis of the methodology of research, the knowledge it creates, the user groups, the research problem it investigates. So, although the many types of classifications have been described in the books and the journals, these type of classification found the basis for research classification and types. So, if you look at this slide, which shows the characteristic of research with the 7 points. What are those? The first one is the case studies, which involves an individual or small group of individuals with an unusual condition or situation. Case studies are typically clinical in scope. Okay, mostly the epidemiological surveys or a report described by a clinicians with respect to one particular aspect that covers a case study. Usually, these kind of case studies are more seen in the case of medical practitioner with a rare disease or rare disorders reported, and how these disease or disorder respond to particular type of surgical treatment or certain unique type of medications. So it is not, I mean, kind of repetitive study. What is observed in that particular period with that particular case can be reported in a case study. It is a small kind of a report. Usually the journals, they won't accept it is as a major research article if you report your findings as a case studies. Because for any kind of results or research, and the sample size is very, very important. The sample size constitutes the number of participants, the number of tests performed, the number of repetitive cases involved, and its statistical tool analyzed. So these are all come under the case studies. Then, in contrast to that, survey involves a large group of participants or the size of the experiments, repetition of the experiments, which involves interviewing or administering questionnaires or written surveys to large numbers of people, investigate and analyze the data obtained from surveys to learn about similarities, differences, and trends. Predictions are made about the population being studied. So, example surveys. Say in the recent COVID-19 pandemic, the surveys made in a different countries, in a different state with different ethnic groups and the susceptibility of the infection, how it is diagnosed in that particular area. All these results and data can be mixed and then analyzed, and it is presented as a survey study. That such kind of experimental observations come under survey study. Next is the observational studies. A typical example can be given is a bird migration. Okay, it's purely based on the observation how the birds are migrating from one place to another, how many birds are together, and what is the seasonal variation with the bird migration. This is one typical example can be given for a observational type of research or aerospace engineering. Okay, there also observational type of research is being performed. It is direct observing subjects, reactions, either in a laboratory called laboratory observation or in a natural setting called naturalistic observation. Observational research reduces distortion, sometimes found in survey research. The next type is correlational research, which attempts to determine if a relationship exists between the two variables and the degree of that relationship. So you are having a group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4, and you have one part as a control. So you're going to compare the relationship of results between the groups. So here only the importance of statistics is highlighted. So whether the results obtained from one group to other is statistically significant or not. So there are various methodology you can use in a statistical methods where you can find out the significance of your experimental results. That's what the correlational result type is describing. Next one is the descriptive. It's a very long and describing experiment in a detailed fashion. Okay, and situation or individual to gain knowledge that may be applied to other situation. That's about the descriptive research. And experimental research. In the experimental research, test the way in which an independent variable, the factor that the scientist manipulates, affects a dependent variable, the factor that the scientist observes. So here you can manipulate means you can control certain situation. You can have a laboratory settings wherein you can control the temperature, humidity, or air circulation, or other factors can be manipulated. So under various of these manipulated conditions, you are observing your experimental result. That is what this experimental type describes about. That means the test the way in which an independent variable affects the dependent variable. Okay, so especially when you are doing research with animal cells, this kind of experimental type plays an important role. Okay, so where the many parameters, as I said, described before, can be manipulated and regulated, and then you're going to observe the result for the data interpretation. Then finally, you're going to describe about the cross-cultural type. It is designed to reveal variations across different groups of people. Most cross-cultural research involves survey, direct observation, participant observation, methods of research. So the variations across different groups. So as I said before, in the case of correlation, you have one group called as a control, then group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4. So what are the variations in research? The variations are meaningful or not. That is why the statistical tools, the variation usually is expressed by standard deviation and standard error. but you're going to apply t-test and other methods to find out its significance. So this cross-cultural is also very important type of research methodology. So in this characteristic of research, I repeat that there are 7 types of research are described: case study, survey, observational, correlational, descriptive, experimental, and cross-cultural. And what are the characteristics of good research? There are 8 types of characteristics described here. Originates with a question or a problem, requires clear articulation of a goal, follows a specific plan or procedure, often divides main problem into sub-problem, guided by specific problem, question, or hypothesis, accepts certain critical assumptions, requires collection and interpretation of data, cyclical in nature. Originates with a question or problem. Here, as I described before, developing a research question is very, very important. Okay. So in the first point of characteristic, it shows that originates with a question or a problem. You have to identify the problem in certain area. Okay. Then you have to choose the right methodology to solve the problem. And the results you have obtained should be interpretable and presentable to other authors and findings. Okay, which requires a clear articulation of goals. Your hypothesis testing or your method should be very clear. And you have to neatly document the plan or procedure of your work. That's very, very, very important step. Because the documentation in the research in general, documentation is a very, very important step. Because once the experiments are done, you can't keep repeating that experiment because of a lack of correct data. Okay, although repetition is permitted in research, that's what it shows the reproducibility of the research. Okay, so documentation, timely documentation in a proper way is very, very important. And when you look at the main problem which you have chosen, it can be subdivided into sub-problems. Okay, but that will come later on. Then guided by specific protein, question or hypothesis, and accept certain critical assumptions. Okay. Next question, characteristics of a scientifically based research. To employ systemic empirical methods that draw on observation and experiment. Involves rigorous data analysis that are adequate to test the stated hypothesis and justify the general conclusion. Relies on measurements or observational method that provide reliable and valid data across evaluators and observes across multiple measurements and observations and across studies by the same or different investigators. You have to make sure the results are correlating with other groups. If your results have deviated, you have to give a proper explanation what parameters and why the reason that your results were deviated from others' report. Okay. So in this slide, it shows the types of research from the viewpoint of application, objectives, and type of information sought. The application research, there are 2 types, pure research and applied research. Okay. The objectives, exploratory, descriptive, correlation, explanatory. Third one, type of information sought, quantitative research, qualitative research. So whatever the way you perform your research, they all come under these 3 major categories. And each one can be subgrouped into various subtypes, type of research. But when you are actually performing a research, you may not be aware under which category you'll be working. But it's necessary to know as a basic introductory knowledge, you have to know what type of research you are performing. Next, guidelines for a research process. Formulating the research problem, extensive literature survey, developing the research hypothesis, preparing the research design, determining sample size, collecting the data, execution of the project, analysis of data, hypothesis testing, generalization and interpretation, and preparation of the report or presentation of the results. These are the basic guidelines one should follow when you are developing a research hypothesis or developing a research portion. This will be helpful in successful completion of your research problem. Okay. In the first point, as formulating a research problem, I have discussed with enough example. And second part, extensive library survey. Nowadays, the literature is available in a lot of databases in the internet. It's easily downloadable. You can get the literature and collect it in a proper manner so that you can easily understand with the appropriate methodology. Okay. And determining the sample set, that's very important. How many samples you are going to test in your research study with the timeline, whether the timeline is suitable to perform or complete your study. That's very important. Data collection and how to store your data. That's very important. And what are the appropriate tools you are used for a data interpretation? That's another aspect here. Then hypothesis testing, in which you are going to determine the significance of your results. Then generalization and interpretation. Interpretation, when it is done, you have to always correlate or cite examples given by other authors in the literature. That's very, very important step. And criteria for good research. Whatever may be the type of research, works and studies, one thing that is important is that they all meet on the common ground of scientific method employed by them. And in this slide, you can see few criteria. One expects scientific research to satisfy the following criteria. The purpose of the research should be clearly defined and common concepts be used. When we are developing a hypothesis, you have to decide about the concept to be used. Under what concept you are going to develop your hypothesis to be tested. The research procedure used should be described in sufficient detail to permit another research to repeat the research for further advancement, keeping the continuity of what has already been attained. That's very important. The reproducibility of the research is a very, very important aspect for any researcher. What is reported by one particular author, the same result should be reproduced by another author. That's called a reproducibility. That means there should be consistency in your data. If your data or results are not consistent, then you cannot distribute or your results to other author. So reproducibility is something, the same experimental results can be produced by anybody, the third person when he performs the experiment. That's called the reproducibility of the result. This is very, very important in the clinical setting and in an experimental setting in a pharmacology also. The procedural design of the research should be carefully planned to yield results that are as objective as possible. How to design the procedure for your experiments. So you have to choose the recent methodology and which is feasible to do with the available facilities within yourself. Okay, and what is the timeline chosen to do this type of research? That's very, very important. And other points to discuss for criteria for good research is the researcher should support with a complete frankness flaws in procedural design and estimate their effects upon the findings. The analysis of data should be sufficiently adequate to reverse its significance, and the methods of analysis used should be appropriate. The validity and reliability of the data should be checked carefully. Okay. In conclusion, it should be confined to those justified by the data of the research and limited to those for which the data provide an adequate basis. Greater confidence in research is warranted if the researcher is experienced, has a good reputation in research, and is a person of integrity. So these 7 criteria must be considered whenever a research scholar is trying to have a good habit of doing a research. So once you are taking these points into seriously, then you will be able to perform your research successfully. Preparing the research design. The preparation of the research design appropriate for a particular research problem involves usually the consideration of the following: the means of obtaining the information, the availability and the skills of the research as staff, if any, explanation of the way in which selected means of obtaining information will be organized, and reasoning leading to the selection, the time available for research, and the cost factor relating to research, that is the finance available for the purpose. The last 2 points, the time and cost factor, are very, very important here, because when experiments are planned, you have to complete it in a decided manner. You cannot prolong. So when you are doing a master's or PhD or any other kind of degree, the timeline is given to you, and it's very important you have to complete within that timeline, considering the cost factor. Okay, so what is the budget allotted for performing your experiment, for doing your research? And it should be an economically viable project, because when you are trying to develop some commercial product, you have to consider the economical viability of the production cost for the project. Next, developing a working hypothesis. How does one go about developing working hypothesis? The answer is by using the following approach: discussion with colleagues and experts about the problem, its origin, and the objectives in seeking a solution. Examination of data, records if available concerning the problem for possible trends, peculiarities, and other clues. Review of similar studies in the area of the other studies on similar problems. Exploratory personal investigation, which involves original field interviews on a limited scale with interested parties and individuals with a view to secure greater insight into the practical aspects of the problem. These are the points one has to consider when a hypothesis is developed, and it should be feasible throughout the timeline of your research work. And in developing a research question, I will highlight the points in two major paragraphs. A research question is a way for you to approach a particular topic from your own point of view. Good research question often begins with a general topic that is narrowed down to a specific question. This question then focuses your interest on a particular issue. Later, when you draft your research document, your research question will help you develop the thesis statement around which your document revolves. As I said before, your thesis work completely revolves around the proper documentation of your results. Whatever the data analysis are made, and you should have a proper documentation, timely documentation. That's called timely documentation is very, very, very important step. So before developing your research question, you need to have a topic as a starting point. To develop a research question, one has to follow 6 general steps. You can use these steps to narrow your topic to a research question. At the beginning, it's very difficult to fix all the steps. Only if you make an extensive literature survey and you collect the information and you plan it in a timely manner, then only you'll be able to successfully complete your research project. So all things lies on developing a research question. That's very, very important step when you are doing or applying a appropriate research methodology. So it is also very important. You have to consider the 6 points mentioned when you're developing a research question. Consider what your readers want or need to know about the conversation. This is very important when you're presenting your work in an international conference, or you're presenting your data in a journal publication. So you have to present in a manner that what your readers want to know about your work. It should be in a easily understandable manner. Second point is select a role consist with your purpose. Okay. And the third point, generate potential research question. That's very, very important step. And a literature collection form the basis for generating a potential research question. And select a working research question. You have to design your question for the remaining timeline. What is the working hypothesis? That's about the fourth point. Refine your working research question by narrowing its scope. And you should not, when you're developing a research question or trying to test a hypothesis, you should not deviate from your scope of your work. That's very, very important. Your aim and scope of your thesis work is very, very important. That it should not get deviated. And refine your working research question by conducting preliminary searches. That's a last point. But that's finding a preliminary searches is very, very important, which forms a basis for completing your research project successfully. So these are the very critical points you have to consider when you are developing a research question. With this, I end my video lecture here, and which found the basis for developing a research question and identifying